She just doesn't mind which way her wheel turns. Her wheel is turning round and round and round. Her wheel is spinning upside down. Now, I just want to check that you were not expecting magic. The thing is, I am not a magician. I'm not even a magician's apprentice. But I always thought the apprentice got to do the best things. They get to disappear, they get to levitate, they get to wear the sparkly clothes. And when I was 9 years old, I actually got the chance to be a magician's apprentice. I went on a school trip to Weston-super-Mare, to the old pier, before it got burned down. Anybody been there? It was all faded Victorian glamour. And we'd all been given some money by our parents, and we were allowed to go around and spend it with our friends wherever we liked. You'd never be allowed to do that today. And first of all, we bought candy floss. Then we went on the painted horses. Then we went to the Hall of Mirrors, where we were tall as giants and we were like squat gnomes. And then we went to the House of Fun, which was all high up in the pier, and everything was upside down. The doors were tiny, the floors were all wobbly, the stairs were crooked, the windows were low down, and then we only had 50p left. And so we walked to the end of the pier, and the wooden slats of the pier, they got wider and wider apart. And we got really scared that we could hardly step, and there was grey sea crashing below. And then we saw a sign, and it said, magic show, 50p. So we paid our money and we went in. And there was a little theatre with red velvet curtains, and we sat in the front row. And then the curtains opened, and there was the magician. But he was not wearing a top hat or a cape. He was wearing a white shirt, and he rolled up his sleeves. Now you see, children, I'm not hiding anything up my sleeves. Now, I come from Yorkshire. Anybody from Yorkshire here? Oh, that's a shame, because that is the place where all the witches and wizards used to come from. Now, I have got a little bit of magic for you. And he rubbed his thumb and forefinger together, and a coloured scarf appeared. And then another and another and another, and a long line, and they just hung in the air. And then he snapped his fingers, and they all separated, and they fluttered to the ground. We were impressed. Then he put his hand behind his ear, and he pulled out an egg. And then he blew on the egg, and it turned into a bird. A live dove, and it flew off behind the curtain. We were amazed. And then he picked up a black cloth, and underneath it there was a crystal box, sparkling. And he said, now, I need a little apprentice for this one. Who wants to be my magician's apprentice? Of course, we all wanted to be the magician's apprentice, especially me. And we all put up our hands, and I sat up as straight as I could. I held my breath. That little girl there in the front row, and he pointed at me. I couldn't believe it. He must have thought I was sweet and innocent. Come on up, give her a round of applause. And I climbed up the little steps onto the stage. He did not give me a top hat or a cape, but he stood me beside the crystal box. And he said, now, what can you see inside that box? I peered into the box. Mice. Very good. How many mice? now, I want you to be the eyes of all your little friends out there. And I want you to tell them that there is nothing else inside this box except for those 3 white mice. I peered into the box and I had very sharp eyes. It was me that my mum always called when she'd lost a needle or a pin, and the box wasn't empty. I could see these transparent partitions, like transparent windows, doors, walls, running through the box like an invisible maze. It's not empty, it's... The magician looked horrified. It's got... Be quiet. But it's a... Be quiet, little girl. But it's... The magician picked up the black cloth, he chucked it over the crystal box, and then he began shuffling me off the stage. But it's not real magic! And I sat down in the front row, and the audience were absolutely silent. There was a deathly hush, and the magician carried on with his next trick. Poor man had completely ruined his act. But you know what they say, never work with children and animals, and he tried to work with both. But I had totally failed as a magician's apprentice. I knew the film with Mickey Mouse where the magic goes all wrong, and I was just the same. I told the truth. He was not a real magician, and it was not real magic. And I've been searching for real magic ever since.